We are live. Yeah, they added like dark mode, which I'm using, and some other stuff.
Oh, nice. Yeah, dark mode's where it's at.
I use I think it's called Dark Viewer. It's like a plugin for your browser where it just turns every website dark mode.
Ah,
And that one's
that's
pretty rad.
yeah, that is pretty rad. I like that a lot. Turning a website to dark mode is like the first thing I do when I visit it.
Let's see. So now I need to go to our channel and I need to change our category. Also, hello to anybody watching the
Yo,
replay.
yo. Welcome, welcome. It's Wax Wednesday. Let me actually I have a fatigue mat over here that I can stand on instead of this hardwood floor.
I am on the road in San Luis Obispo, so I do not have our normal streaming setup. So don't waste your. I mean, people are probably not going to hear this, but don't waste your stream points. Or
Let's see.
you're not going to hear the sounds because neither Max or I are streaming through
Yeah.
Streamlabs. I don't think.
Right. Don't even ask because devs can't do something. Can devs do something? That's one of the audio cues.
We won't even see it either, so it'll just go into the nether.
We'll just. I feel like this is an appropriate moment for it, so I feel like right now it's probably like, can devs do something?
Hey. I feel like they'd spam that when you talk about the hack.
Oh yeah. That's pretty much what the chat is saying too, or like, oh, the devs will help recover it and stuff. Is like, wow, how do you recover tens of millions of dollars? That's not like a tech issue.
We've seen that happen before. Yeah. It did not go. The way that Harmony handled that was like they're just like, oh, we'll let the community figure it out. That's how you know a project's done. Is when
let me look. I actually have USDC, one USDC in my wallet still here. I'll tell you right now, it's worth 17.07 cents per unit. That's a dollar stable coin, supposed to be USDC backed. So
but honestly, amazing. It's worth that
17 cents. It's more than it was worth like the month of the hack. It dropped to like 10 cents. So I guess anyone who bought it after the hack maybe got like some money back. But yeah, it's been over 2 years. I want to say 3 years. Recovering the loss of a peg is very difficult because again, it's not a tech issue; it's a money issue. Who's going to put money into something that's lost trust and has a record of failure? Anyway, that note is being brought up because today, a few hours ago, here's Radiant. You can see we have this on the bottom here. It says base markets are temporarily paused. Funds are safe. That maybe on base they're safe, but this is a cross-chain money market. So if we go to Arbitrum, for example, I wonder what the error message is here. But without like waiting for it to load, what happened is what seems to have happened is that the team's wallet was the victim of a phishing attack that got the hold of, I think, 3 out of 11 private keys for the multi-signature wallet, which apparently was enough for the attacker to sign over, like basically migrate all the money inside of the money market into like a new money market and then drain that himself. So everything on the Arbitrum side here got pulled out. So that's, as far as I can tell, like right now everything's taking forever to load. I feel like because they paused these contracts, it's not going to even show me anymore. But it looks like the hacker made off with between $50 and $70 million. And now anybody who had supplied assets to this money market on any 4 of these chains, the market is currently frozen. So like when I was on base, you can see at least base is loading and showing you values, but it does say the money market is frozen. And you can follow along the chaos on their Discord right now, or check out their announcements on Twitter. But I guess I can just pull up the Twitter page for that too and see how that looks. Let's see. Radiant Twitter. What are they saying? See, this is what I don't really get about Twitter, because I can pull it up and I'm like, why isn't like the most relevant thing coming up first? Like March 18th is the first post.
Is that pinned maybe?
That's a pin. Okay, so it's weird. So I don't know. When I click here, I don't see anything about an exploit or an ongoing like. Yeah, maybe they didn't post shit. So
That
I mean,
seems also very irresponsible if they did not post on their own Twitter that they
I'm
got
literally
exploited.
on their website. It's like the markets are paused, funds are safe. Visit Twitter for details. And I click the Twitter link. I'm like, where's the details? But there is obviously like watchdog Twitters, people who do look for, you know, hacks and exploits, and then will post stuff about it on Twitter. And I do know how to find those things. So here's revoke.cash is a revoke tool. If you're unfamiliar with this, Ethereum and EVM based blockchains require for any transaction or interaction with any sort of smart contract, it requires permissions. And those permissions, it's best practice to sign those permissions on an every transaction basis. So like every time you make a swap, like let's say you're using 100 USDC to swap into Ethereum, instead of just broadcasting the swap transaction, it's best practice to first broadcast a transaction to approve the spending of exactly 100 USDC, and then send the 100 USDC. And now your wallet will have basically, have permission to only spend this with that contract. And then when the money is spent, the wallet no longer has any permission to spend USDC. That's the best practice. For a long time, it has been standard practice to just give unlimited approval to token assets. So like if you're trading on Uniswap, the first time you trade with USDC for something, you would sign like the permission, and that permission would be for an unlimited spend. And so every subsequent transaction you make, you no longer need to sign the permission transaction. But the risk is that a sophisticated hack, such as the one affecting Radiant, where the hacker actually took control of the contract wallets from the actual product, from the actual protocol, those hacks could then potentially extend through permissions that you've granted those contracts to drain more tokens out of your wallet. So like, for example, if you still had, let's say, 1,000 USDC just sitting in your wallet, but your wallet has unlimited USDC spend permissions to transact with that money market, then the money market got exploited and became malicious, and then basically used what permissions it had left to drain anybody who still gave it permission. So it is possible to, with this exploit today, to have lost money that wasn't even in the money market, that was simply sitting in your wallet because the permissions. So revoke.cash has a tool where you can, first of all, you can come here, you can paste your wallet address. I guess I can, let's see, I should be able to do this from my wallet here. Let's see if I paste like my wallet address here. This is specifically for this hack right now. If you paste your wallet address here and then click this arrow, it'll tell you if you're exposed. You can see that on the Ethereum blockchain, I never interacted with this protocol. On the Binance chain, also I never interacted with this protocol. It's probably gonna be too slow. And then if I go to Base, I actually did interact with this protocol, but I revoked the permissions to those contracts already. And so the tool here is telling me, okay, I'm protected because even though I previously have given permissions, I've since revoked those permissions. If you're unfamiliar with doing that, using revoke.cash is not a bad place to start. I also really like the Rabby wallet. But if you come to revoke.cash and just, like, for example, here, search your own wallet, you can see all the different permissions that it currently has. So you can see this wallet, for example, has permission to spend unlimited USDC through whoever, like whatever contract this is. So this contract has unlimited, and I know what this is Gains Network. And I actively use Gains Network, and I don't want to sign permissions all the time. So I do this until I'm done actively trading. And then I come here and I revoke this permission again. And like, yeah, you just sign in, connect your wallet, sign in like you normally would. But yeah, so this is a place, like, if you're unfamiliar with how EVM chain wallets work, everything is based on permissions. So interacting with a money market, interacting with a swap, anything that you're doing on an Ethereum or Ethereum layer 2 chain that isn't directly involving Ethereum units, because Ethereum units aren't ERC20 tokens, they are the utility token of the blockchain. They don't require permissions to interact with these things. But any ERC token, or even any NFT token, any kind of token standard that isn't the actual base utility token on the blockchain requires permission. And if you have a wallet like this wallet that's 8 years old at this point, you might have shit tons of permissions that you maybe forgot about or signed like a long time ago. And it might not be a bad idea to use an occasion like today's exploit, where a lot of people did get hosed by this kind of shit, to basically take the time to look through your own permissions and make sure that you know what is exposed in your wallets. So again, revoke.cash, searching up your own wallet address gives you a list of what you can see, how much you've limited the spending to. So you can see like, or what type of permit it is. Permit V2 is like a gasless spend. So that's basically, these are like permissions that were granted to like a secondary contract, like a limit order contract. I guess you don't really have to understand what all this is other than seeing if you have available assets with unlimited approvals, it's best practice to revoke all of that shit. And in the future, when you're being asked to give permission or approval to anything, limit the amount that you're approving to exactly the amount that you're currently transacting. And that way, yes, it's more work, it takes a little bit more time, and it costs a little bit in fees. And by a little bit, I mean like less than a half a penny per one of these transactions. But it does save you from being exposed to exploits like in this nature, sophisticated hacks that can turn once trusted contract addresses and protocol addresses from major multi-million-dollar platforms malicious. So yeah, being better off revoking everything and then reapproaching this. Or I guess if you're not deeply invested into like DeFi positions that are wrapped and locked and the wallet is basically not migratable, the cheaper and faster thing to do would be to just create a brand new wallet, using your same seed phrase and everything, but like create a new account or whatever you want to call it inside your wallet application, and then just send your crypto there. And then from that moment forward, understand how the permission stuff works.
Wax isn't that different as far as, Wax, it's not for every single token you interact with.
Yeah.
Because you can just send tokens without, but like if you want to log into pretty much any dApp on Wax, it has like a permission pop up.
Yeah. And here BuzzKing's actually making a point I wanted to kind of like harp on here. He says he revoked everything. There's some stuff I gave access to once and never interacted with again. That's exactly what I kind of like want to drill in with this, because it was common practice and like normal standard procedure to give unlimited permission to anything the first time you transact with it. And so if you had once upon a time bought some shitcoin nonsense that you never touched again and you gave it unlimited permissions, just you can find out if you did that, and you can come here and kill that. And then like it's not bad to have unlimited, like for example this USDZ one right here, I don't hold any of this token, and I really very rarely do. And so for it to have unlimited permissions, like I don't care that much. And I have wallets that are like, when I'm looking at the permissions on like Ethereum mainnet, for example, like Pax Gold and stuff, which is like unlimited, or Uniswap for uni tokens. Yeah, I hold some of these, but the permission is at Uniswap's Permit 2 contract, which, medium risk, it tells you, but it's also like, what, to revoke these permissions on Ethereum mainnet is probably going to cost me like $1 per thing. Or I guess I haven't checked recently. It might be cheaper now, but they are blockchain transactions, and some of these chains like Ethereum mainnet aren't super cheap. Most of these layer 2s are super cheap, and that's why it's a good idea not to give stuff infinite permission. Like just pay the half a penny to do the permission every time and protect yourself from getting fucking entirely hosed because you forgot that you gave unlimited permission years ago to some contract that later on became malicious. All of this is just referring back to the Radiant money market was exploited today on the Arbitrum and on the Binance chain. Close to $50 million were stolen. If anybody had supplied a liquidity to those markets on those chains, it's very likely those coins are gone. And the further than that risk is, if you did interact with this platform in the past, there is very real risk that you have permissions, allowed permissions in your wallet that had interacted with this, which could potentially lead to your wallet being, exploited or drained, even without having any liquidity currently exposed to this market. So again, I'll share here in the chat really quick. This link, I guess this link here for specifically the exploit. What you can do here is paste your wallet address and be like, okay, I maybe interacted with this on Binance chain or on Arbitrum once upon a time. just hit this arrow. You're not connecting the wallet to the site or anything, like up here where it says connect wallet. So there's no like signature involved in this. You're just pasting your address to see you are or aren't safe. So if you're unsure, this is a useful tool, and I will paste that into chat.
Somebody
Stay
needs to build
safe.
one of those for Wax.
Yeah, for real. Revoke.cash has been around for a long time, and I used to use this to do my revoking transactions. Like I did connect my wallet to the site and would revoke them through here. Now I use Rabby, which if you do Rabby, I know you can't see my wallet when I click here, but inside of the Rabby wallet extension, which is kind of like a similar to MetaMask, like a browser wallet, there is a section that literally just says approvals. If you click on that, it takes you to this page where you can then see, like, look at these Harmony approvals, 3 years ago, unlimited, everything, tranquil, this protocol's dead as hell. That doesn't mean that it can't be exploited. The contracts can't be turned malicious at some point. So like this could be worth, revoking. But then if we scroll through this is like, you can see all the different approvals I have here. And then with this tool through Rabby, you can go through and like choose, here multiple, like check these and be like, okay, I want to revoke all of these bad boys, and then revoke all 11 permissions in a single transaction. This works really well on a hot wallet. If you have a cold wallet, this isn't a single transaction. This still will require a manual signature on your hardware device for every single one of these. So expect to do this 11 times if you're going to revoke these, which is also like, if I do all this, I'm signing 316 transactions to deal with this wallet to make it, airtight again. But again, these are really good tools. It's great to know what you've given permission, what for, what blockchain, how long ago, and this really fucking breaks it down for you there. So if you do have the Rabby wallet, consider clicking in on the approvals section of that wallet. If you're using it on mobile, there's a little 3-dot icon when you pull up your wallet that gives you more options. The approvals section is hidden inside that 3-dot menu. So stay safe, be aware. This is ongoing exploits going on right now. It's unsure if we're gonna get I'm exposed to this. Like if I look at my dashboard here, I have 0.2 Bitcoin in here, which 0.205, like a lot of Bitcoin. This is not easy to stomach, and I'm not able to withdraw it. The exploit has not hit the base chain as far as I can tell, but the contracts are paused, so it's not like I can do anything, and I basically am waiting for resolution, which can take a long fucking time. So possibly I am, at like best case scenario, not going to be able to access these Bitcoin and eventually get them back maybe a few weeks, hopefully from now, possibly days if things go really well. But worst case scenario, it's like, potentially like owed Bitcoin from this protocol for years and years and years, and never get made whole. And this is just a massive loss. So ouch. But yeah, that kind of sucks. But let's get into something a little bit more Wax related. What up, Wapaka? I think we could start with talking about the IBC stuff, right? Because that's pretty relevant. I like this.
Yeah, I also sent you the Grubfish link. I'm not logged in.
Gotcha.
I don't have the keys to the airdrop wallet, so I cannot send people woof. So you'll have to do that.
Okay, I can do that.
I figure it makes more sense for you to run Grubfish because then you just have the wallets linked to Grubfish. But I don't know, maybe we could run a Grubfish. We go for like 20 minutes.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Let's like read through these like texts here that you shared already in Discord, but I feel like it's kind of worth reading.
Yeah.
And then we can do a giveaway for everyone who's staying. Thanks for being here. It's our technical day, so sorry if it's a little bit more technical than some other streams going on. But let me pull up I just want to make sure I have all this conversation queued up before I start reading it. I got this one. This one. Yeah. Okay. And I think one more. Yeah. Here we go. Okay. So this is an update on what's going on with the IBC bridge. So if we go to Alcor Exchange and we come up here to the bridge, IBC bridge has been pretty much the first of these options that was added to the bridging side. It is a protocol to move between, or at least was, to move between EOS.io blockchains. So you can see we could go from Wax over to EOS, Telos, UX Network, and this was a two-way bridge up until recently. So you can tell here, if I set this to Wax, for example, EOS is not an option on the.
And
on
honestly,
the
it was like one of the best bridges I've used as far as like free all the time,
fast,
instant, almost instant finality.
And it was it seemed like a very like open source like process, much more so than like a lot of bridges out there. Definitely a cool like tool, and especially really like great for interconnectivity between the EOS.io chains, especially because chains like EOS have a lot more liquidity for tokens like USDT. And so this back and forth used to be an easy thing to move, and that also you have when you look on trade in like the spot markets, we have like EOS tokens here. Oh, it's gonna be hard to find because EOS is the wallet contract name for a bunch of like tokens. But EOS tokens, like USDT tokens, were backed by USDT on EOS chain, which that's being sunset. We talked about that in the past. And then there's I think Wombat token had like cross chain native like swap utility as well through the IBC. Very cool thing. Very sad to see that it is now becoming less usable. So here's a little conversation about what's going on with that. And I guess I'll just read this. It says, "Dear users, the Alcor Exchange has conducted its own investigation regarding the suspension of the IBC protocol between EOS and the WAX, and and in this repost, we provide an objective assessment of the current situation." So here's the current situation. On September 25th, the EOS network underwent a hard fork called Spring, which changed the consensus technology. Since IBC protocol relies on consensus-based transaction confirmations between blockchains, this update made it impossible to confirm EOS transactions in the WAX network. As a result, all IBC transactions sent from EOS can no longer be completed in WAX, leading to freezing of funds. Of user funds. So that's basically what we're seeing. We can't move from EOS to WAX, but we can still move from WAX to EOS. So the problem is after the hard fork, that broke. Next page. Let's see. Copy this over here. Paste that. Okay.
I guess that's an issue for anybody. Pretty big issue for anybody who has WAX on EOS, because you could trade WAX over on EOS. Now that WAX is no longer able to be traded. I guess if you wanted to be really freaking risky, you could just be like trying to buy WAX for cheaper on EOS that doesn't WAX and hope you can bridge it back.
Yeah, bring it back someday.
I don't know how good of a strategy that is.
High risk for sure, and absolutely that sucks. We did have a heads up that this was happening, but it's not a very like long heads up, and some people participate in this stuff pretty passively. So yeah, definitely is a significant issue, and that's how the next page starts here. Despite the significance of the issue, the parties have failed to reach an agreement on supporting IBC compatibility between EOS and WAX blockchains. This has resulted in token lockups across both chains after the hard fork. We contacted representatives from EOS, WAX, and the IBC developers, and below is their responses. Let's find out. So ENF, which is the EOS side of things, says EOS believes that other blockchains should integrate the new consensus protocol to their own in own environments, I imagine. However, WAX has refused, as this update is under a business license requiring a payment of $5 million. Okay, that makes the EOS position kind of like insane. They're like, we think anyone should do this on their own, but they mean we think people should pay us $5 million to do this. EOS is not planning on updating the contracts for the older protocol versions 5.0, which I think has something to do with WAX, I guess. I'm not sure that familiar with the older versions of these. The WAX team says the WAX team refuses to support the update due to the high licensing fees tied to the new consensus. Yeah, that kind of tracks. I mean, $5 million, I don't think that's a good idea. Like, yes, it was a useful bridge. Yes, it's great to be able to interconnect those blockchains. No, it's not worth $5 million. There's like at least not 2 WAX at this point, maybe some point down the line. And then lastly, we have the IBC developers. The IBC developers
if you go to
the
next picture, interested. Anything that's cut off like starts on the next picture.
Okay, perfect. Let's see. So that is This one then? Yes. Copy this over. All right, next we have the IBC developers are not interested in resolving the issue as no party is funding the repair or updates of the contracts. Okay, so it sounds like EOS wants $5 million. Wax's position is $5 million is too much money, and the developers for the IBC bridge are saying, we'll do it, but someone has to pay for it, although I don't think they're naming a price here. Alcor Exchange says, Alcor Exchange does not control the contracts on the EOS side, and therefore we're technically unable to unlock user funds. However, we continue to seek solutions to this issue and believe that the next steps should be should involve those responsible for controlling these funds. Yeah, that's kind of fair. So they're kind of putting the onus here onto the EOS team, who owns the contracts on the EOS side. That's the EOS Titan and the IBC.O Wax contracts. So I'm not super familiar with what those things are, but let's read. All token bridging operations between EOS and Wax occur through the IBC whatever this contract. EOS tokens are locked in this contract and should be released on Wax, which has become impossible following the EOS consensus update. It is important to note that during
go to the next picture.
This is going to get cut off. Yeah. So here we go.
Waka's saying the worst part is it's not going to cost much to fix, but nobody wants to pay.
That's what it sounded like. The IBC team, I think, has the most reasonable approach here, where like Wax seems to be like, we're not paying $5 million, and therefore we're not paying anything. And then the IBC team is like, we'll do it, but someone has to foot the bill. But like I said, they didn't like lay out a price or anything like that. So it seems like it can be done, but right now it's like a stalemate or something. But let's see. It says it is important to note that during the deployment of the contract that does all that kind of stuff on the EOS side, block producer EOS Titan retained the active key to this contract. This means that the EOS Titan currently controls the frozen funds in EOS and can manage the contract. Therefore, the responsibility of frozen funds lies with EOS Titan. That kind of tracks, as they have technical control over their user assets.
Okay. That seems sketchy that a single party has control of all of the assets. Like, I would not feel comfortable if I was holding
any EOS wrapped Wax assets, apparently, unless you trust EOS Titan as a BP to not like fuck those assets over.
I don't know who the fuck those people are. They're not a Wax BP even. A lot of them are both, but they're not on Wax. So I feel like they don't have the Wax user's best interests.
Yeah, and a BP can be anyone, who's got the goods to like run the network. So
there's also a long history of corruption in power on EOS.
That's definitely, I mean, not a good look for them as a BP to, I think, like stay inactive when people are asking for like them to step in to like.
It also seems like it should at least be a multi-key. Like it should take multiple blockchain producers, not just like one single person. Because it also could be like like WaxDAO is just Mike. Like it could just be a single person. Like, and if they decide to be a shithead, like I don't know, there's not a whole lot of steps to steal the money at this point. Although I don't know what you can even do. Like, where can you even sell those wrapped assets if nobody's providing liquidity or anything for them anymore? Like,
that's true. It's basically at that point it just like is going to be fair market value, which is depegged from whatever it should be. So basically useless because these are like bridged wrapped assets. So expect them to depeg is kind of like the fallout of this. Okay, next it says Alcor Exchange's proposals. Number 1, halt the acceptance of tokens from EOS to Wax. To prevent further freezing of funds, we urge EOS Titan to make a small code change in their contract to stop the acceptance of new tokens. Okay, gotcha. Proposal 2.
So they haven't even done that yet. They're still accepting new tokens.
That just adds to the shadiness of the fucking like block producers' role in this. I don't think it doesn't sound like it's a difficult solution to at least lock the contract, but again, I don't know enough to like make that as a like definitive statement. So we'll just go off of what I'm seeing here. But the second proposal is resolving the IBC issue. We see 2 possible scenarios to resolve the current situation: implement support for the new EOS consensus on the Wax blockchain. That's the $5 million option, apparently. And then 2, completely halt the IBC protocol, lock contracts on both chains, and manually return tokens to users in their original chain. Okay, that's drastic, but I feel like that is a solution. it would be sad to see the IBC protocol going away on Wax entirely, especially because it can be great for like roll-up chains. If roll-ups become a thing in the future, the IBC would be the way that you would, move your Wax or whatever stuff between those roll-ups. Whatever. Let's see. We got the 2 resolutions here. Completely halting was the second one. The first one, okay, I guess I got to backtrack a little bit because I said implement support for the new EOS consensus on Wax blockchain, and I said that was the $5 million option. I guess let me roll that back a little bit and say that's not necessarily the $5 million option if the IBC developers, I think, like step in to do some of that implementing, and then they get paid, not $5 million, but obviously fairly for that. Anyway, Alcor Exchange is fully prepared to take the necessary actions on the Wax side and urges ENF and EOS Titan to cooperate in halting the IBC protocol and unlocking user funds. So it sounds like Alcor is trying basically to do what's in their power to unfreeze anyone who's affected by this, and then is even willing to do that manually should the IBC protocol not become a viable option in the future. So that's a little update for what's going on there. I'm not sure how many of us are...
There's another one. There's statements from representatives from each.
Oh, is there? Okay, let me find that.
So I know Lucas said something.
Let's see. Huh. Is that in the same... Let's see. That was the last screenshot I found in...
Oh, yeah, I didn't do another one.
Yeah, that was...
Oh, wait, let me just go find it on... I'm gonna scroll up in the chat. I guess I didn't screenshot whatever
it made sense to me though. That's like a reasonable stopping point in that when I was reading through those. I was like, yeah, that sounds like here's the problem, here's the people involved in it, and here's what we propose to do.
I think their statements were just basically the same shit as like their stances or just summaries of their statements, but I'll just to be thorough, I'll read it.
Yeah, let's
Big Beard Samurai, who is the SEO of the ENF, says you'll need to go ask the other chains. It's been in their hands for a while. They need to upgrade to a Savannah compatible IBC contract, which depends on the activation of the BLS protocol feature that was first introduced in LEAP 5.0, as well as developing and deploying new proof of servers on their end.
Yeah.
And then Random Nobody, who is just says ENF, EOS, says, my understanding is that EOS can still travel from those old chains back into EOS. However, you cannot bring EOS assets from the EOS blockchain to those other chains now. If those other chains do not want to support IBC by upgrading or by working to make the bridge possible again on their sides, there's not really much we can do.
That's not true, though. He laid out what you can do. You can manually unfreeze the tokens and send them back. So that's like you're basically just like stealing user funds at that point, if that's your response. So Titan, if that was Titan's response, that's crooked as shit.
No, that's not Titan. That's
okay.
Somebody that works for the ENF.
Okay, because they're not the ones who have the access to unlock those funds in the first place. So their response makes sense, and it sounds like their response is like, pay us $5 million.
Here's the guy from Titan. Wait, yeah, it says GYOMB IBC Dev EOS Titan producer. Yeah. So I guess EOS Titan are the people who made the IBC, like the developers are a blockchain producer. Okay. But he says no one from ENF, Wax, and Telos was interested in paying for it. That was his full statement.
Yeah. So that doesn't.
And then,
that also doesn't like address hey, you have the assets on your blockchain. Can you send them back?
And Lucas from Wax, who we've had on our stream before, says IBC, we don't control EOS side, and we don't have any working relationship with the ENF anymore. Users will have to communicate with the ENF. Regarding our side, we can discuss what needs to be done. It sounds like pretty much everybody's just like, the other person needs to do it. Like everybody's just pointing fingers at each other and no one's doing shit.
That's kind of what it sounds like to me too.
And then there was a response that I liked in the Telegram. His name is Itachi Uchiha. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but he said, all these people unwilling to cooperate and putting more barriers between chains will destroy anything left and drive users, if any, left. Prices of tokens on both sides are in a slump, and instead of cooperative environment, it seems they're not interested at all to make it a better experience for the users, which that's sort of how I feel too. It's like, I don't know, like EOS is not doing well right now. Wax is not doing well right now. So why fight each other and like try to price gouge instead of like trying to build a better ecosystem that people would actually want to build in. And now it's like, I don't know, like part of the cool shit that seemed to be happening with Wax in the US was like, oh, Antelope, and then Antelope's going to have the Ethereum virtual machine. But now if the Ethereum virtual machine is being developed for EOS Antelope and we're not upgraded to that over on Wax or whatever, I don't know exactly how all the tech shit works. It's like, so maybe now that stuff's not going to be connected to Wax anymore or any of the other EOS chains. And like, I don't know, it's pretty clear that like no one's making money on Wax, so why try to charge Wax $5 million for what I assume is probably, I mean, I get like the hardware side if Wax needs hardware shit, but it doesn't sound like they're charging for hardware. It's like they're charging for like code that's already written. Like it sounds like,
exactly. That's it. They're charging for a license to use the code that they wrote.
It's like you already built the shit. Like how does price gouging, like if you don't use the code,
nobody's gonna interconnect. You like literally wrote an interconnection thing, and now you're like, okay, everyone has to pay us, and everyone's like, that's insane. And they're like, well, I mean, we made it, but no one wants to use it. It's like that's not what's happening.
You wasted the time developing it, and it actually makes EOS less useful because I would argue like Funko is onboarding more people to Wax than anything is onboarding people to EOS. So like, I don't know,
think so too.
Trying to use Wax as a tool to get people to save your dead ass chain and fucking that USDT just abandoned because there's no fucking money in your DeFi either. Like,
what makes you think that people are going to move their DeFi stuff from like Bitcoin and ETH and Sol chains to fucking EOS if that's your focus? Honestly, like the most likely layer 2 chains or like secondary solutions to like volume from those networks are going to be like centralized exchange chains. I feel like Binance Smart Chain, Base Chain, or like even Crypto.com's blockchain, like Kronos or something. I feel like that's way more reasonable to me to have like a blockchain as a layer 2 for all those layer 1s be the like public blockchain of a massive centralized exchange operation.
Wax is connected to Solana. Wax is connected to Base.
Yeah, Wax is already there.
So Wax already like allowing your users to move to and from Wax is like actually giving you access to all the shit that does have money. And like, I don't know, it just seems
if they bridged over onto Wax, some of the assets like some Sol, some fucking ETH from Base Chain, and some like TON tokens, and if I could trade TON, ETH, and Sol and Wax all on Alcor with the Wax blockchain like fee structure, I would do that. So like you can already do all that shit without this IBC stuff. Why pay $5 million? You know, if you're going to pay that, why not just use the $5 million to supply initial liquidity to those tokens and then move those tokens over to Wax to influence some more, you know, DeFi activity here?
So I sort of think this negatively affects EOS more than anybody, but it's just annoying. But like, it's annoying because Wax is built on EOS, and a lot of the upgrades to Wax and Antelope are coming from the EOS team. And if they're just now fucking fighting each other, then it's like that hurts Wax as far as like this specific thing is not hurting Wax, but like any innovation that now happens on the EOS is going to be on a different version of Antelope that Wax is not on. Or I don't know if that's how it works, but yeah, it sounds like when
it's also
like we're no longer in contact with the ENF, or I think the people running EOS. I don't know enough about those terms, but yeah, it just doesn't seem good that they're no longer cooperating with the people who built the blockchain your blockchain's built on when both blockchains are struggling, and they should be working together to try to like, you know, rising tide raises all the ships
instead of sink a few more ships to try to make the displacement of the water go up a little bit.
For EOS, it's the craziest just because it's like, what does EOS have going for it, in my opinion? Because like, I don't know, they're kind of like, okay, they have better DeFi than Wax, but like losing USDT was really not good for them. And like, they don't have NFT stuff the way Wax does. And that's like, I don't know, I guess they have some other like DeFi box and shit, but like the amount of money locked into Alcor and like those exchanges are like really, really small potatoes for DeFi. Like it's more than Wax has, but it's like not enough to be like encourage Wax to pay $5 million to have access to that. Like, I don't know.
No. Also, like, yeah, I mean, even like the protocol we were talking about earlier that got hacked today, after their hack is still worth $70 million. That's after they got hacked. So like that's more money than exists on all of Wax. Like that's probably more than is trading on all of EOS and Wax put together, possibly. I'm not sure what the metrics are, but yeah, it's definitely small potatoes. Let me see if I can do.
Thug says U.S. powers many gambling sites. Fairness proofs. I think
That's
it's
true.
maybe about controlling network congestions. There can't be that much network congestion from bridging shit over from Wax though. Like hardly anybody's using that. I don't know. I think they're just greedy. I think they're just like,
I think so too.
we think Wax can afford $5 million because they have some successful properties over there. We looked at all the money they raised with blockchain brawlers, give us some of that money, and we're going to basically hold this shit hostage unless you pay us. And you got to type in Twitch channel name Neon Space NFT. I don't know if you want to change it to exclamation point neon, but
oh yes,
you click OK too.
Okay.
And if you click edit, you can do neon. Yeah, the whole thing just seems shitty. It sucks. They can't figure it out, and it's already tough times on Wax. So this is not good news for EOS or Wax. But I do think like EOS is shooting themselves in the foot more than anybody. Like I don't know, trying to charge $5 million for that. Wax is probably
so much
that
money.
Potentially afford it too. Like Talos and like some of those other ones are like Proton. I think is that one of them. I don't know. Those other chains are like
let's see
even more nothing burgers than Wax, which is already pretty much a nothing burger in the grand scheme of crypto. So like trying to charge those people $5 million for what seems to be already written code that will not cost you anything. It's not like, hey, we need to hire developers. It's going to cost us millions of dollars to do this. It's like, no, we already have the thing built, and we're just like,
it would have been. I think it's a better move to have just been like, here we made this to like uplift our ecosystem, not to like price gouge the remaining like carcasses for some more like scraps as we all sink and circle the drain.
Yeah, it's I don't know. Wax has been disappointing lately.
And Wapaka says EOS EVM isn't good. Fees are higher than Polygon, Base, Arbitrum, or any cheap EVM chain. That's, I mean, yeah, especially after the recent, like, I forget the name of the update that came out for ETH mainnet that made layer 2 chains cheaper. I've been paying, I think, 0.3 cents, like 0.3 cents per transaction lately on layer 2 ETH chains. Is not expensive. Like $1, I can do transactions for weeks, and I do stuff every day, so it's like that's okay, especially considering what opportunities exist on those chains. And then it's, you know, it's like I'm trying to abandon these opportunities for like lower liquidity, harder to maneuver, less interconnected chains because those chains can't fucking like figure out how to get along. I don't know, like feels bad, especially after being like a big fan of Wax for so long. And I love how Wax works, but man, like it's rough to see it like not realize its potential, because the potential has been there for years and years and years. I feel like already at this point.
What is MetaMask Snap?
MetaMask Snap. Is that like a, let me see. Is that a
somebody posted the Antelope developers call this past week. They were talking about how they just finished the audit for EOS to go on the MetaMask Snap. And then after, Wax and Talos will too.
Maybe Stack?
No, two people said
Snap. Maybe that is like what they call it when they implement like blockchains into MetaMask, like basically.
Yeah, that would be pretty big, because I do feel like one of the hardest parts about Wax is just like, if you want to use Wax, like Anchor's fucking nothing as far. I mean, it's like it's big for us. We've been using it for years, but like the average crypto user doesn't know Anchor, and I feel like people are way less likely to use a blockchain if it doesn't just work with the wallets they already have. So like,
I've seen a few people talk about like in the Woofy Discord where people are like getting onboarded into like a Woofy through like the Ton clicker stuff, and they're like, how do I move this from Ton over to Solana? And then a lot of the like even like official like people in those channels are like, oh, you first have to make a like a Wax Cloud wallet, which is like, I mean, you can just connect your Ton wallet and your Solana wallet to that bridge. But yeah, it's like I've seen multiple interactions there where they're like, first make this, and they're like, wait, what? I need to pay $5 or whatever, or 5 things. Like, I don't get this. And it's just like, you don't. First of all, you don't need the Wax wallet if you're moving between non-Wax chains. But also, I'm sure the like mods are, you know, it's supposed to guide people to the Wax chain a little bit. That's part of, I think, why
Wax has also always been like, I feel like another one of their major downfalls has been they've tried so hard to make the web cloud wallet a thing where it's like, I don't know, like you can't necessarily have the chain and the only wallet that like the chain supports, and I think that has not been a good decision by them. Like they want to control the wallet so badly that that also costs them a shit ton of money as far as like to keep all of that up and running. I think it's like several $100,000 a month to keep the cloud wallet running, and like,
oh, I bet.
I don't know. It's like the
Gotta have
people
users.
the people who run Ethereum don't also own and operate MetaMask. Like
Yeah,
having
exactly.
those be separate things is not necessarily a bad thing. And they just put so much effort into trying to route people through that, and then it costs money and it's centralized, and like, I don't know. There's a
Yeah.
lot that doesn't work about that. And then it's like it's the only login you can use for their games and stuff. Like I think so much of that was a mistake where like they're trying to make it very centralized when it's like,
Yeah. Certainly.
and that's also like screwed over their drops you could only buy through that wallet, and then they had like credit card fraud issues, and like I don't know, so much stuff just goes back to like if you used like the reason Funko works is they use drop, not the cloud wallet, and they have control, like centralization there.
Yep.
So they're like the fact that Wax is trying to do centralized, but a hybrid centralized, decentralized, they can't freeze people's assets in the web cloud wallet. It's like if you are going to go centralized, you just need to go full centralized, like drop, and be able to like ban people and blacklist them and not let them do stuff if they're interacting with protocols. But like Wax is trying to do this hybrid thing where they're like, yeah, like this is decentralized, but also not really. And I think that was the biggest issue. Like you just need to go full centralized or full decentralized. And also full decentralized just does not work for NFT drops and stuff, which we've learned. Like there's not a major game that's doing super well that does that. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Myth is all centralized.
Yeah.
NFL Rivals is very centralized, but
centralized is like a dirty word in the crypto circles, but like in reality and in like, you know, actual gaming and stuff, that's how things work. And I mean, gaming is a difficult thing to decentralize, and I don't think that it's beneficial necessarily to do that.
No, almost all cases it just leads to exploits and like unfair advantage for people that know how to exploit on multiple accounts through decentralization.
Yeah, exactly.
Whereas like DeFi, I think is fine to have decentralization because that's based on money. Like
yeah, exactly.
Money, and if you have the money, you're not really having advantage doing it through multiple accounts than one account. Like if there's like trade kickbacks, if you trade $1 million through one account, it's the same kickback as trading $100,000 through 10 accounts. So it's like
exactly.
There's no real advantage to knowing how to do that, all that stuff. So I think for DeFi, absolutely. I mean,
DeFi is also the immutable side of that, you know, argument where it's like DeFi, I want to have like finality, immutability. In gaming, I want the meta to change as stuff gets OP, as new shit comes out, you know, like gaming isn't immutable. So like trying to drop it all on chains that are like, oh, we can do this on like a distributed ledger technologies that are like permanent and immutable. It's like, why? You're making a game. Like,
yeah, and that's also burned a ton of people as far as like buying the meta, and then the meta changes. Like more often than not, that ends up hurting the customers slash players. But I don't know. I think we're still figuring out. Like people are getting better at developing Web3 games. We got in way too early as far as like.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We're insanely early to this party. We're still today. It's ridiculously early to the fucking like Web3 gaming kind of like racket.
Let's launch just Crittercraft.
Let's do it.
I feel like it's something you should try that Ubisoft game. I feel like that one's up your alley. It's like the Mage Knight style game.
I feel like that's cool. The one with the little miniatures. Yeah.
Yeah. I think you can now buy into that publicly. I don't know.
Buying into Web3 games. I just don't view them as like investments, and I don't think it's a great idea to like make them immutable, you know? Like the whole idea of gaming in general is like, oh, the meta changes, and it's difficult, I think, to do any kind of game that is fun long term that never changes and is like the exact same like stats and like everything from like inception till, you know, mass adoption.
Yeah, people just, I don't know. There's also like the way to raise money in Web3 was by doing all that nonsense though, because real gamers aren't buying it. So like the only way you can sell your Web3 game was like doing all this nonsense with tokens and ROI and DAO.
Speaking of the meta, that was the meta, yeah. And just like that meta has changed, so does gaming metas. Oh, it's only the naked grubs left.
They're pretty close to each other too. Close.
Let's see. Oh, that was close. Oh yeah, no, he couldn't escape that last one.
40.
Master Halo with the win. All right, I'm gonna. Let's see. Got to pull my
Master Chief.
Spartan 117. Okay, so I could click on this, right? Yeah. Oh, because
you got to go to the top.
Oh,
you don't need to log in. Just go to the top and copy the.
Oh, I gotcha.
Because the end of the URL is his wallet.
There it is. Copy that.
Yeah, I don't know. Wax has definitely been discouraging lately, and this new news is not good news. Like, I was hoping they would settle that amicably, but it's like, seems like the settlement is everybody's just like, nah, you fucking deal with it. I don't want to. Like, we don't. Lucas's comment is also pretty like alarming. He's like, we don't talk to these people anymore. It's just like, that's not a good sign.
Yeah, that's not great. Those are like the people in the same boat as you.
Although, like, I don't know. I feel like if I had to bet on a chain, Wax has more going for it than EOS. I don't know. I'm biased as hell, obviously, as I'm on Wax, but like, what is happening on EOS that anybody should care about? Like, Funko on Wax is a bigger deal. Like, Funko, if that's the only thing was on Wax, would be a bigger deal than EOS as an entire chain, in my opinion. Like, Funko is actually selling legitimate amounts of stuff, and I don't know that anything on EOS is doing that well.
Yeah. Boom.
Nor as large of a property. Like Funko is pretty massive, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how this plays out.
Right. Here we go. I'm gonna leave this up in the background. If you want to join one more time with another exclamation mark neon, I can do another million. I make someone else a millionaire.
Should we do overall crypto market analysis?
Yeah, let's do that.
Oops, I just did Neon Space NFT as the friggin'.
Let's see. We lost.
Did I do that?
Yeah, I think so. Is my thing still sharing, or do I have to reshare?
No, you're good.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I'd say for all the negative news we just had with the first part of this was an exploit that happened on. What was the name of that?
That is Radiant Finance. So Radiant Capital.
Radiant Finance, and you missed the beginning of our stream.
Sorry, yeah, this guy.
Radiant Capital is
actively being
exploited on multiple blockchains. So
yeah, at the very least, what I can tell, Arbitrum pools and Binance Smart Chain pools are fully drained.
If you've used it, you can't withdraw your stuff right now. The best you can do is revoke your privileges. So we suggest doing that. And then we also had the bad news about the IBC bridge, but I feel like the crypto market is actually kind of looking up. So the good news will be what Bitcoin's doing
let's
today.
Look at Bitcoin. So here we
After
go.
an hour of bad news, here's the silver linings. Here's the rainbow at the end of the storm.
Here is our Bitcoin chart we've been following for pretty much ever. And you can see we've been in this kind of like channel down. If I go to the weekly chart here, we can get a little bit cleaner look at this. And you can see that channel is kind of our handle for our cup and handle pattern, which we've been, like I said, tracking since, we broke into this at like March. So it's been, March, June, July, August, September, October. It's been a while, like almost half a year in the channel, but we're breaking out. What do you see here? The weekly candle fully breaking out above our channel first time. It's not closed yet. We got 4 days left. It's still the middle of the week, but man, this is early like breakout sign. You saw the last few weeks we were looking at it. We were saying, hey, we're looking for it to, either we're looking for it to break out or we're looking for it to kind of come back down, make a higher low, and then retest and eventually break out again. But it looks like maybe this wick is going to be our higher low. And we are going to start breaking out. And you can see also I have marked here in green is kind of like my bull market trend line. So if we go back to the start of our bull market, we've been, as the market started kicking very aggressively, above that trend line, bouncing off of it, finding support on it. And then when we got this little pullback here, we had a deviation below that trend line, where we found our support on our strength band, which is kind of like where we're always looking for support in the uptrend. And of course, if we do see the band break, what we need to see is the band to break and to get a bear print here and to flip the color to red. And then we're going to act on the market direction changing. But you can see on our trend line, we push below it. We got our rally back. We've been bouncing up above it all the way to the peak of our bull run here. And then you can see as we fell into our cup and handle channel for the last 6 months, 5 months or so now, you can see we pushed to that trend line. We started getting, you see how much longer these candles start to be when we get close to the trend line. The candle, like the market got a lot more volatile as it actually lost that trend a little bit, like deviated below, and now we are still below it, looking to like recapture, push above, and make this be our bouncing board as we push into new highs. That's the bull plan here, the bull scenario. Let's get a little closer on the daily chart. We can see much cleaner our breakout, full days closing above our channel. We had that as a deviation a couple times where we had a few days closed but get pulled back pretty quickly. So again, week's not over, 4 days left in this week before our weekly candle actually is closing above the trend. And if we can stay above here with the daily, that's very, very good. But you are seeing on the daily now, we had been making lower highs all the way since the top of our bull market here, lower highs following the last high here, and then lower lows, lower highs, lower lows pretty consistently until recently. So you can see this big wick would have been basically like the bottom signal, but you can see after that we did get a like double bottom effectively because this wick was lower. This is definitely a lower low still, but the low here, the full body candles, basically double bottoming here. So, but you can see, we made this low. This was a lower high still than the previous high after the lower low. So this is still very much in that downtrend. And this was the first time we did not make another lower low. Here we made a double bottom. And then we started pushing up. And what do you know? A higher high than this previous high. And now we're pulling back. Was this another lower low, or are we pushing to a higher high again? Right now, yeah, higher high. Full candle's already closing as a higher high. So this is already making another higher high. Wonderful. Like we're definitely starting to get what we want to see in terms of bull activity. And so what does this look like? What does this look like for the future kind of plan? Let me find my screenshot that I want to share. Is it this one? No. Where did those go? I swear. Here, maybe I'd have it in my clipboard. No, that's the wallet address. So then I guess the screenshot, it will be here. I have to pull it up again. Copy and paste. Here. So here's this kind of like trend line would have been a trend line that we can follow on the daily charts. These three were kind of like this. This one was the very short-term one, which we actually broke out of and got this huge push. That huge push was looking for resistance here, but seems to have blown kind of past it and all the way to their top trend line where we only wicked up to. This is like 6,800. This is on the daily. This is a few days ago already. So if I go now, we look at the same daily chart back again on TradingView, you can see, we got that push. This wick kind of touched that trend line. It's basically the same as this line, except for the weekly one we were looking at trend lines based off of the higher highs and like basically, drawing them across this way, where the very top one would have been like a flat. I don't want to add too many more lines, but I guess I'll just draw one more. That very top one would have been from the peak here, only going along these peaks, which is why you see it's kind of like coming up to here where it is in our image. So you see this candle here is the candle we were looking at here before the next day happened. So we shared this yesterday, but this with the wick hitting that trend line that we've circled here, that trend line is basically the top trend line on that I just drew out here that basically hits the very peaks of this entire trend. So if we can break that trend line, which we are close, like look at the body of the candle still getting pushed back down to the line. And again, our daily has been kind of climbing. So we do maybe get rejected here, push back down and then bounce and climb above it. But if we can retake this trend line and actually close days above it, which is basically, 68. So we're almost there. Like if we can start closing full days above 68, that is the last kind of like line of defense effectively for the bear market to continue and push us back into that kind of channel that we've been in for so long, kind of maintaining that this is just a deviation still. It's not the breakout of the channel yet. So basically, for us to be confirmed on, you know, our long-term breakout that we're looking for this next phase of the bull market, we're almost there. We want to see the days closing at 68. This, like, basically, I started going long Bitcoin a few weeks ago already, like buying some bot back, sitting on some of that Bitcoin that is now stuck in the Radiant Finance market. But when this breaks out, like what I'm expecting here is like Sid has drawn here, where we kind of have hit that top level resistance. It's unlikely that we're just going to shoot straight through it like we have two of the three other previous resistance level. We're just kind of like powering through them. And so it's unlikely that it just continues doing that, you know, straight up forever. And so the most likely scenario that we were tracking now will be kind of a sideways volatility kind of movement for the next few days, possibly week, before we do break out. And now we're looking for, you know, those two trend lines to kind of become, you know, our range here. So it's not going to fall. Basically, we're looking for it to trade between like 68 and 64 for the coming few weeks. Any kind of volatility that falls within that price range is not something that would make me think twice about, even if we suddenly drop from 66 to 60, you know, 66.8 or whatever we're at right now. If we suddenly drop, let me actually pull up the live chart, 67,600. If we were to just suddenly like make a big poopy doopy doop and drop all the way down to like 65 flat or something like this, that's a 4% fall. Like if that happened, it's still like, okay, that's very much still within that range. We can go all the way to 64. So we can do like a 5% range here. We can get, you know, aggressive red days. If a 5% Bitcoin drop happens, that's a pretty big, you know, that's like these kind of drops here. But we can get those drops and still be bullish until they, you know, fall kind of below. I guess this chart's wick here. This is kind of like the bottom of that range, kind of maybe a little bit above it. But yeah, if they fall like below here, I guess where you have like your little tops here. Yeah, basically 64. So I'm expecting to see us kind of like, you see how we have our daily SRSI. So our strength index is starting to top out a little bit, meaning, you know, we're running out of steam on these moves. If I zoom out to the weekly, we're still kind of in the middle, but we've been climbing. You know, we could stand to cool off a little. If we get a little closer here on the 4 hour, you can really get a sense of how overbought it's become, where we've been basically hugging the overbought and even flatlining for a few times here. Keeping also in mind that look at this, where we are flatlining, right? If you're using just the SRSI to make your trade positions, then you're missing this whole upside still. Even though we've been, you know, overbought, it doesn't mean we're moving down immediately. It just means that the momentum is starting to wane. And you can see when we did kind of top out here on the 4 hour chart, you know, right around here where the orange and the blue kind of meet, and we're both at 100. That's about where the, you know, this pretty big run up ran out of steam and needed to chill out for a second. It didn't pull all the way back to the band or really super aggressively or even cool us all the way down to like, you know, oversold or anything, but it did chill out a second. And that's kind of where we're approaching with the daily. You see the orange and the blue are getting close. So basically once the daily candle here, the candle closes in an hour and a half from now, this will, you know, step forward another day, and probably the orange and green, orange and red, the orange and blue will be basically overbought, and would be basically getting a signal of like, hey, we're running out of steam on this big, you know, 1 week every day being green run. And so we kind of need to calm down, looking for that calm down to play out like this, and then break out and move up. So once we do get our breakout, very bullish there. But in general, markets have turned pretty bullish crypto wise. Stuff did break out this past week. We are, you know, the trend that we've been tracking, here, like on our daily chart, we did break out of that, and that's what we were looking for. And we broke out of it convincingly. Versus last time, we were like, okay, we're running out. We've been on the oversold side for like over a week, and we're, you know, barely breaking up here. Now it's like, this is a convincing, like this candle shattered it, and the next two continued that run. This is a nice breakout. This is what I like to see. You know, not expecting like any asset doesn't just go straight in one direction. So obviously we're going to be looking for a little bit of a continued kind of like cooling off sideways, few days at least, before we continue a pump up. There's definitely also more and more, you know, global stage things that are upcoming that are bullish sentiment drivers for the crypto markets, such as China stimulus packages going out to their citizens, such as central banks making more lenient gains taxes for crypto tradings. I think that's been happening in Japan. The gains taxes were recently proposed to be reduced for crypto capital gains. At the same time, you also can find similar bad news where I think in parts of Europe they're trying to increase the capital gains for specifically crypto trading from what they currently are to 46% or something very high. So there's always good and bad news, but there are some pretty big macroeconomic events such as a China stimulus package that definitely bode well for world equity markets. So with that in mind, we can take a look at what we've been doing with our crypto on the Wax blockchain and see what we want to do. But it definitely looks like we're starting to get a little bit more positive price movement, a little bit more bullish, and we're getting close to a part where it's almost a moment where I go all in with my remaining stable coins.
Do you want to run another Grubfish first?
Yeah, let's do that. I don't want to word it in a way though where I'm where you should go all in. It's a moment when those things align, that's when I am probably not having any more stable coins. I'm pretty much, once we start clearing this, then I'm looking for a breakout to new all-time highs, which even though, we are a little up here, if we go, let's zoom out a little bit, we're close here already, even just to revisit from here to the last all-time high up here is still 10% higher, so it's I'm looking for new all-time highs, so from here that's 20-30% of a move, and I'm not trying to guess is the move coming. I want to enter that move when it is confirmed, and so that's why I'm still not all the way committed. I have obviously, like I said, scaled into some spot positions, but I'm looking for this breakout to be my last line of okay, bear market finished, next leg up move incoming. So let's see what happens.
All right, I'll be right back. I'm gonna grab a drink while you run this Grubfish.
All right, let me run this Grubfish. So let's see who's in here, who's gonna win. I wanna see if I can. There we go. Okay, choose game and Grub Royale. Let's see. Oh, lots more Grubs. And oh, nice. And I'm in here too. I see my pink tail. Good amount of good amount of nakeds actually. I was gonna say good amount of backpacks, but oh man, Pop and Stuck has a naked backpack or a red backpack that would go great with my red trail. Nice. Let's see who wants to be a woofy millionaire. Yeah, it's what podcast says same, very low on stables right now. Yeah, I think if you've been paying attention to we've been reading the chart here for once a week for years at this point. So if you're starting to get a sense of how to see those patterns starting, you'd also kind of get a sense of trading isn't about catching the bottom and selling the top. Trading is about seeing a pattern and then entering the trend once the trend is confirmed. So it's much more about, you're not trying to catch 100% of a move in price action. What you're trying to do is catch the last 40-50% of a move. Once the move is started, it's confirmed, continuing, you see your targets, and then you make a decision based on calculated risk reward assessments, because you're not gambling. The goal should really be
Rid Sevilla or Sevilla, I don't know how you pronounce it, but I think he came in second last time, so you're doing some podium finishes here in Grubfish today.
Let's go. That's gonna be worth some. Yeah.
I feel like we should have more tokens in that wallet.
Yeah, what is that? Transfer 1 million. Airdrop.neon had hold on, let me see.
Oh, it's supposed to be give.neon.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, did I send from airdrop earlier? Okay, I did. I was gonna say, but I only sent 1 million. Okay,
that's fine. I don't even know where those might have just come from
Airdrops, maybe.
Yeah, like I don't know if we have wax in that wallet, or we probably have wax staked to that wallet, maybe.
Yeah,
that's where we got it from.
I stake like 5. There's probably a good amount actually. Yeah. Let's see. I should have Give.me on here though.
I don't have that one on this computer. I have Neon airdrops before we own the Neon extension. Is the one that I imported to this computer, which I believe is an empty dead wallet at this point.
Oh yeah. No, I have airdrop.neon, DeFi, first FTW, regular FTW. I have market.neon, Mythic Golder Neon, Neon Space. I don't have Give on this one, but I can just send it from airdrop. We still have 1 million here, and then I can just fund our giveaways from
I think you should have Give.neon on the other computer, probably.
I think I do too.
So I don't think I even made Give. Like, I don't have access to the Neon to generate new wallets. So at some point, you were the one that generated that key.
Yeah, I have that. I have that wallet too. That's a hardware wallet. That's a cold wallet, but the hot
probably
wallet
did it on the living room computer. Is probably where it is.
Yeah. Well, let me just send it from this one for now.
You can also just write it down on Discord and send it later.
Yeah.
But I don't have access to any of them until I get back to Los Angeles. Good old Van Nuys.
Boom. We'll do it from yield farming because that's where I'm at right now, and that's the one I always use. Plus, I'm pretty sure I have 1 million WOOF in here. Yes. Transfer. Paste. Why doesn't it see my WOOF? Okay, I guess I just have to refresh here.
We can also give away
0. Transfer.
We have more of those Sune NFTs. Sune at New York City Comic Con, which I believe is. Let me see if I can pull it up on Twitter. I think Priscilla's there today. I don't know if it starts today on Wednesday or if it starts on Friday. But let's see if I can figure that out.
Redsville says starts tomorrow, I think. So we'll see.
I don't know.
Token sent. Okay, let's double check.
Thursday through Sunday. But yeah, I think the vendors get to set up a day early though. Sometimes like when we went to the one, we went on the opening day, but there was like pre-sale day or something for like.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Preview day.
Yeah, the people that pay more get to go in like a day early. I don't know how it works, to be honest, but let's see if I can pull that up.
Oh wow!
I'm gonna share my screen really quick.
Yeah, do it. Do it.
She says tomorrow, so it is Thursday. But let me share my screen. Chrome tab. Is it sharing? There we go.
Yep.
Priscilla says,
wow.
All set up at H13 at New York Comic Con, Artist Alley, who am I seeing tomorrow? So if you're going to New York City Comic Con,
that's cool.
Check out our booth. Atomic Hub.
I remember, is preview night like industry preview night? Like you have to have like an industry connection to get a ticket to preview night, or
I don't know. I've never
is it like yeah? Because I remember I used to get those for E3 and SIGGRAPH when I used to work at like on all those visual effects studios. Because like if you work on a Marvel movie, you can get into like E3 and all that stuff as a professional.
But we should give away one of these.
Let's do it. Let me.
You'll have to do it once you get over to the other computer, but
I'll write down and text myself who wins.
The new Yokai Comic Con in New York City, NYCC 2024 promo.
Oh yeah, E3 is. I feel like E3 is all pros now. It used to be like open to the public as well, but now it's like an exclusively like professional.
I'm not showing off the screen. So used to having my other setup.
E3 was a lot of fun though. If you've ever had the chance to go, E3 was like it's like the video game convention. Nowadays, I think a lot of like like the studios have their own like conventions. Like they'll have like the Nintendo Con, they'll have like the like Xbox convention or whatever. Microsoft Game Studio has like their own little like, I know Sony has their own little things, but all that used to be part of like E3, and everyone would wait to like announce their big shit at E3, and you'd always get a bunch of swag too. Like I would get a bunch of like T-shirts and weird shit that like fun desk toys and stuff. I'm just like looking around for shit I got.
Priscilla also said that
good times.
She has free NFTs to give away to people who visit her booth. They're not advertised, so you just have to know. Like you have to be a part of the wax space. But if you just go to her booth and ask, there's a QR code you can scan for a free claim for NFT. And I believe these are the ones that we're giving away. That like she gives away signatures. Like if you go and visit her in person, she'll have a signature NFT, and then you can blend this like promo NFT with the signature to get like signed artwork, a signed NFT artwork. That's like a rarer version.
That's a cool fucking like piece of art too. I want that NFT.
Yeah. So
I gotta go back to
Craft.
I gotta go back to my collection for Priscilla stuff and just sweep her secondary market. It's been too long since I've bought any. I feel like my collection is becoming sad.
I'm excited to see she sets up at the. I'm of course going to miss her this week because she's in New York, but she sets up San Luis Obispo. I don't know if it's a farmer's market. Like every Thursday night, they have a bunch of vendors set up and like food.
Oh, that's cool.
She goes out there, so I'm excited to go.
Are you going tomorrow just to like see what the food deal is? And
yeah, my parents want to go tomorrow. Yeah. I'll be somewhat glued to my phone for Thursday Night Football at the same time, but we'll make it work. All right, we've got Max's screen back up. Exclamation point Neon if you want to join this giveaway for a Sune Yokai Comic-Con promo.
Comic-Con promo, baby.
And let's do some wax moves for our wax DeFi based on the information that maybe crypto is moving up, but it's likely at least for the next couple of days to be a choppy.
Yeah, we're looking for a basically confirmation of our breakout. So looking at it, I think at the weekly chart is going to give us the best kind of like sense of what we're looking for. So here it is, the weekly chart. You can see we've been tracking these kind of like channel for over a few months, and it's been very much in that trend. This is the very first time we're getting a kind of like convincing breakout from that trend. And so what we want to see is, the weekly candle actually close with this kind of a convincing price action, which again, there's 4 days left to do that, which is why we've zoomed in closer here. And then that's why we can see now the last 3 days are basically what that breakout has been consisting of. And so what we really want to see here now is, a break above this kind of trend line. And it's very unlikely to just blow through all of the trend lines in a continuous straightward upwards movement like that. So here's kind of what the plan is now. Looking for a little bit of that like recovery, let the RSI cool off. Here you can kind of also see this is how high the RSI was before the next day candle came in, and then the next day candle closed, and you can see how much higher it pushes it. And you can see here in an hour and 10 minutes, this candle is going to close again for the day, and we'll push up, and we'll pretty much be overbought at that point. Like unless something drastic happens in the next hour for the daily chart here, this is going to be a bullish daily close, and it's going to, basically also be signaling kind of like overbought levels. And despite this overbought level just hitting the top, getting even closer on our time frames, you can see that this almost entire 3-day run up here has been, starting to push to the upper limits of, we're running out of steam. Similar like this kind of chunk here where like, yeah, we did cool off. I don't expect such an aggressive cool off, but definitely cool off, possibly retesting those strength bands again. Especially on like the 4 hour. I don't think we've dropped all the way to the daily bands with how convincing of a breakout this was. But even if we do, if we drop all the way back to here, then we would be looking for it to bounce on our channel. So, down, forming a higher low, and then pushing and breaking out, of the last resistance level. So we already looked at that. But with that in mind, we're looking for kind of like even price action, but not too much stablecoin exposure at this point. Like, I've already kind of like been more and more bullish as this has been progressing, and it is it's a decent time to like rotate into crypto exposure. If we are going to break out more convincingly, then that's what I want exposure to. So I'm going to start by logging into our DeFi wallet on Alcor here. And let's take a look at what we have. I'm just going to go to pools. And here's what we've currently got sitting in this wallet. We're pretty heavily in the Rook LS Wax pool. I think we migrated a decent amount of what we started with in our Woof Wax exposure into the LS Wax Rook exposure, because LS Wax had a much more convincing, stable dynamic with the wax price, and the rewards are way higher. So logging out here, and let's log into Taco as well, so we can make sure we're gonna get everything we want and more. And let's take a look at how our liquidity is doing over here. I'm just going to go to the liquidity tab, and you can see we have 55 wax on the wax side, and then the equivalent, so it's 4 million woof on the woof side. So about 110 wax bilateral liquidity here. And we've been earning, of course, our rewards on that. I haven't actually kept up to see that the rewards are still printing and that we still have runway. And there you go. There's only 2 days left of this, so we shouldn't stay here, because we're only touching this once every 7 days. We won't be back until next Wednesday. So we'll be spending 5 days holding onto these tokens without getting our 13% APR, which is already not as exciting as other things that we're doing. Let's take this out. So we start by removing our woof wax liquidity. I don't know that I'm going to sell the woof just because we're removing it. We're just going to remove the liquidity to something that we know we can earn fees for the next week. So after removing the liquidity, I'm also going to come up here to account and rewards, and then I'm going to claim the yield that we earned. So this 40,000 woof, that's the rewards for being in the pool. Great. Let's take those two. So we'll sign that. There's a little chime, and then we're all the way out of DeFi positions on Taco Swap at this point. Going back to the meal pool, let's see if there's something we want to move into here that is paying, high rewards. Dark matter has still the highest by a huge margin, but like I said, when we first we're pointing this out on our Wednesday stream, I got into this with my personal wallets when I first saw it pop up, before everything kind of exploded and a bunch of people jumped into it. And then when I finally showed it off on stream, I was like, yes, this is high risk and a fun high APR, but at the same time, I expect those tokens to sell off aggressively, and I feel like we missed the initial chance to jump into on this pool. Looking at what Dark Matter has done since then, I'm glad we stayed away. So here you can see, in my personal wallet, I got into this around here. And so I was kind of fine. I also had pulled out almost everything again. I pulled out double what I started with, and I still have maybe 600 wax or something left riding at this point. Although since we did, go parabolic here for a second, make a huge run. Let's see, from where the current spot price is, the high recently was 40% higher than where we currently are sitting. Right here. Yeah, 440. So that's more than 5 times more than the current spot price. And if we actually, measure this thing again, I'm just clicking on the ruler, and then I'm going to look at the lines for where we bottomed out recently. Since our bottom, we're already up 40%. And then if we were to retrace to the top here, it's 650. So 7 times what it's currently worth. We did get a big sell off when we were looking at this on our stream. It was around here, maybe here, after this big pump and a little dump. And I was like, I don't know, I'm scared. Yes, the APR is high, but so is the price at this point. Now that the price has collapsed down here again, I'm actually a little less scared of this. I haven't lost anything because I wasn't exposed to any of this shit during this sell-off. And now we're back to basically where we started before these huge incentives drove all this value into the pool. You can see these lines down here represent volume, and look at how much volume has been trading. So how much value amount has been trading in this pool since the price went this high. So you can see I got into this maybe here, right? Very few people did. So you can see from the volume, it's flat here. And that tracks too, because when I jumped into this pool, I think I bought 2,000 or something wax worth, which made this huge stick pump, this huge first stick. That's me. And then I added my liquidity, and at this point I was the deepest the biggest liquidity position in the pool with 4,000 wax of bilateral liquidity. Comparing that to right now, the deepest person is 50,000 wax. So way more liquidity in this pool than there was when I first got into this. But you can see that the majority of the trading actually happened, after this huge run up. Even all of this run up, very low liquidity, and so the vast majority of buying and selling happens here. And a lot of these red candles is like that means more selling than buying. So a lot of people cashed out on this big jump up, even though they maybe didn't cash in at quite like this early days either. If we go further back, you can see there's a decent amount of volume here. So a lot of people had been holding this token at a much higher price point, and so maybe started to once it got close to their break even price from all this volume that started here, maybe got into selling out. Either way, we're back at a price point now, which is encompasses, I would say, this chunk of range. And if we look at the trading volume in that chunk, it's pretty much nothing. And if we also, let's zoom out to the weekly chart here. This is maybe daily chart. This is not as long of a chart as I thought. No, actually, it is quite a huge chart. So let's go to the weekly. I'm going to reset this chart and look a little closer. You can see that chunk of trading below the current price here, that was the floor for this token too. It hadn't been lower than that. So basically nobody bought into this for much cheaper than it currently is trading at. And it's still producing a pretty high APR. There's deep liquidity too. So when I enter this pool with say the same as I wanted to the first time I jumped into this, which was 4,000 wax, and I had to swap 2,000 wax into dark matter. Now, if I did that same thing, I wouldn't even expect this needle to move very much, because there's actually liquidity to make that happen. So I'm on the fence about this one still. It scares me, but after such a big sell-off and a maintaining what is it called? A maintaining APR, still 1,700% is ridiculous. And with a runway of forever. This is still not something that I'm ignoring, but again, it's very high risk and very, potentially we're going to lose what we're doing. But you know what? We've been getting kind of hosed holding on to our WOOF. If WOOF doesn't recover, that kind of would be painful too. I don't know, going back here to Alcor. So we have now in our wallet 4.1 million WOOF. And we have, the counterpart 55 wax. So we could, do maybe 100 wax and see how it goes for a week, especially now that we're not able to make WOOF wax APR. And, this pool is, definitely has the runway, and it has spent the last few, weeks even aggressively selling off. So we're way below all the moving averages at this point. Potentially, the same place where we will find some support is the idea. Of course, I'm not seeing that confirmed yet. So this is me gambling. This is I think maybe it'll come back. I'm not seeing that, the chart isn't saying oh, it's coming back, let's jump into this, which is kind of what the Bitcoin chart is saying. So, to kind of give a little juxtaposition between those two thought processes there. But I think we should take a little bit of risk if we can afford to. So I think first, before we decide to ape into something like this risky, let's look at what do we have our exposure in currently. So like I said, we do have 4 million WOOF just in WOOF. We have 55 wax just in wax. And we have our liquidity pools. So we are exposed to the Rook LS wax pool. We have LS wax LSW. This is just, wax exposure. Great. So this one's really low risk. And you can see we have 200 wax in this pool. So, for a wallet that started with just 100 wax, this is great. This is keeping us kind of exposed to the wax price that we don't want to be diluted by, dollar or pairing it with some kind of stable coin. This is just wax exposure since we're on the wax chain. And our goal is to earn more wax. I like this pool a lot. I know that this pool also gets reset every week. And so if I go to farms right now, it's not going to show up here. And it says here, stake all positions. That's probably the first thing I should have done when I logged in, because this is happening every couple of seconds that you earn your rewards. And every second I spend talking without being in that pool, I'm foregoing rewards that I'm basically, owed. There you go. So now I'm back in here, 6%. And so you can see now I'm actually starting to tick up some LSW rewards. That's why it's I should have done this straight away. Either way, these are the pools. Our runways are looking great. 7 days is normal for this one, and then all these other ones definitely have multiple months left. Neon, we're obviously a little biased here because this is a token that's directly involved with our project, and so I don't mind that the APR has fallen a bit here because our stability with wax isn't waning at all. So you can see we still have 26.2 wax here. We started this with 25 on the wax side. It was a 50 wax total position. I don't mind that we're at 40% if it's such a stable thing. That's great. And we got lots of runway. I'm into that. Same with our Rook wax. This has been crazy stable. Let's look at the actual chart for that. Let's do Rook. I'm just gonna leave it with wax paired to see the terms here, but you can see that after this ridiculous pump, which I believe was the creator of the token, buying it off the market to create their massive liquidity counterpart. I think I'm not 100% sure, but whoever bought it never sold it, and the massive amount of liquidity in this pool is mostly held by the owner of the contract that deploys it. So it does seem to me like this is protocol owned liquidity in some form. Either way, what we're looking at here is look at since we've kind of I would ignore anything before that. Since we've kind of established a price for this token, it has been very steadily, either sideways, or you can actually kind of see, if I put my little cursor here, it's kind of bouncing and moving up a little bit. Those little candle wicks are higher and higher and higher. And the top's also coming up a bit here. So you can see these peaks here are higher than the peaks that were over here. Great. This is awesome. It looks like it's moving upwards. And while it's moving upwards, they're paying us 100% APR. Fantastic. And the best part about this 100% is that more than half of it isn't diluting the value of the token that we're farming. It's, it's not paid in Rook. Only 47% of it is paid in Rook. So I really still like this pool. 100% is really, really solid APR. HCC, I'm very unfamiliar with. We got into this for absurdly high APRs early in the wax farming days. Oh, I got to close some of these so I can open some of these. Also with 50 wax, you can see we're still at 28. So we're still over 50 wax, what we started with. We got into this kind of early. Let's take a look at the price action there and see if we want to stay HCC. Or if we want to maybe consolidate that one into something a little less risky. So here we are on the daily chart. You can see, I think we got into this kind of around, it's been a while. It's probably something around here because we are a little bit above where we were. But we definitely had some times where we could have pulled out with a lot bigger wins from these big climbs. But in a similar kind of thing as I was showing off on the what was the one? The dark matter token. You can see this one also had a huge drop. It didn't fall below the moving average. So it basically found support on the 100-day moving average, which is this red line. But our dark matter is even below that. And so this is kind of this recovery is kind of what I would love to see for the dark matter token. And with an APR of 1700%, this type of sideways, slightly upwards movement would be ridiculously lucrative for us as liquidity farmers, rewards farmers. With this price action right now, we're definitely we're getting what's called a golden cross, which is generally it's a very positive technical analysis symbol, and it's when the moving averages cross each other. The longer moving averages here, you see the red one didn't exist yet, but for example, the green one and the blue one, right? The blue one is the shortest term moving average, only 25 days, but the blue one, the green one here is 50 days. Here we're seeing the golden cross incoming, where you're getting the shorter term and longer term moving averages crossing. So you're getting the short term crossing the long term up. That is considered a golden cross. That is considered bullish. So if we are going to bounce, we should be bouncing right around where we currently are for this one and then pushing higher. If we don't see that next week and we see that we're losing these moving averages, then I might consider pulling this liquidity. But for right now, this looks like it's not in a crazy bullish trend, but it is signaling bullish things in the chart. And I'm not opposed to sitting around here and earning 50% APR on liquidity that is relatively solid. Although now that I said 50%, I'm getting double the APR here, and this chart looks more convincingly stable. I don't want to say more bullish. Like the HCC chart could break upward a lot more, aggressively. Like even looking at, just from here to the more recent peak is like a 200% pump. Whereas if we're looking in the same time frame at the Rook charts, you would see like, okay, from where it currently is to the most recent peak, we're looking at a 2% change, not a 200% change. So, while this one definitely looks more stable and has a nice bullish trend, the HCC chart looks like it's priming for a bigger breakout. And I'm willing to accept the lower APR payout for this week to potentially get that much higher HCC value breakout if that does happen. I don't know anything about the HCC token contract, token distribution model, or anything about it at all, other than just looking at the chart. It is a very small position for us, so I'm willing to kind of roll the dice on this guy. So I'm actually kind of happy with all of our positions. So it really just comes down to what do we want to do with what we pulled from the Wolf Wax pool, and what should we do with our rewards? So let's get the rewards first. Claim all rewards right here. So you can see we got like 2 point something liquid staked wax. Like we got some good rewards actually. Let's go to wallet and take a look. I probably have to refresh it too. Yep. Almost 3 liquid stake wax. Again, in a wallet that started as 100 wax, we're making almost 3% of that in a week. Fantastic. This Rook is also actually slightly more than 3. So this is going to be 6 something wax, liquid stake wax. This is really solid performance. I'm very happy with how this is going. And then I think because we have a very stable position within this liquid stake wax LSW pool, so this is just wax exposure, very stable, very, very demure. This is going to hold its value in terms of wax. This is what we want. 200 exposure is great, so let's keep that, and that gives me confidence to be like, okay, we have 200 wax worth of that in this pool. We have more than 200 wax bilateral depth in the Rook pool, making 100% APR. So we're already looking at over 400 wax into pretty comfortable, also relatively lucrative positions. Then we're doing HCC, which has kind of a breakout potential, and then we're also doing Neon, which has been a very stable and easy way to earn 40% APR. So I'm kind of happy with all of these, and I'm willing to accept a bigger risk for next week because these are pretty solid, long-term, have been performing very well for us and aren't that exposed to volatility risks. Whereas dark matter 100% is. So let's fuck with dark matter. I'm going to go over to Wax on Edge and log into our DeFi wallet, and I'm going to swap the Woofy that we just pulled from our pool into dark matter, and then use the wax that we pulled from that same pool as the counterpart and supply to the dark matter wax pool on Taco for their absurdly high APR. So let's do it. Woof, on the Woof side, and then we're going to go to GM dark matter on the other side, I guess. And then here we go. So I'm going to pay 2.006 and I'm getting 2.01. So great. Arbitrage in my favor. That's cool. I'll definitely accept that price impact. You can see I got a nice Wax on Edge is routing me through Alcor and Taco and 4 different pools all the time. Wonderful. That's why I use that platform. And now you can see here, I have my dark matter. And if I go to max, let's see, I need 59 wax as the counterpart liquidity to this. So I am going to take some of the rewards that we earned this week, like the Rook and the LS wax, and I'm going to swap those into more wax until we have 59 on the wax side. So I feel like maybe Rook is going to be enough to get us there. So complete with this update 59. And then I think for good measure, I'm going to do the LS wax. I guess if we can keep the LS wax, great, because then we actually get stake rewards exposure to it. So let's just leave that as LS wax if we don't need to swap it. So let's check. Going over to Taco Swap, I want to join this pool. I'll say add, and then I'm going to just click on 100% of my dark matter. Okay, it wants 60, so I do need to swap a little bit more. So I'm going to go in here and let's swap half of this maybe. 1.5, yeah, that'll get us to 60.5. Swap that. Now I can come back over to Taco Swap. now that I actually have 60, which actually I think I do need to refresh because TacoSwap won't automatically update my wallet balance. And here we are again, details plus. We're going to say all my dark matter. I have 60.7. It wants 60.09. That's perfect. We're going to sign this transaction. And just like that, it makes a little noise. And there we are. So now if I come here, I can see my daily reward 0.001. And so we'll be back here rewards in a week, and we'll see how did we do. We started with 60 wax ish. We'll call it 60 wax. So we have about 120 wax exposed to this. We can pull anything near this APR for a week on 120 wax. We should be pretty happy and have made back a significant portion of our liquidity in a single week of rewards farming. That's going to be especially true if the price of dark matter increases over this week. Big if on that front. Huge amount of inflation to this token. See this thing skyrocket back up to its all-time high prices, but also it's wax. It's not a deep pool. Like, let's go to here just to take a look. Statistics. If we look at dark matter, like they're actually in the pool. This, you can see it's the 10th largest token on the blockchain. There is it looks like 4,007 in this wax pool. So adding $4,000 would easily pump this to like new highs. So it's not like an insane amount of money is needed. It's also $4,000 is a tall order for wax. So again, very high risk. If you are going to participate in this one or follow along with your own stuff here, definitely treat this position as something that is, if you are going to be not just following along in the sense of like, hey, I'm going to do this once a week. This is a position that I would come every day, come up to the account and rewards every day, claim those rewards, and then every day sell those back to wax until you've recovered your principal for a position like this. The APR is simply too high, and the volatility is just too much to stomach to just try to ride this kind of stuff out. Where's my windscreen? Oh, I think that's good. I hear something too, but is that me? Let me see. I got you.
Is that me breathing you can hear? I can't.
Possibly.
I hear you cutting in and out, but I can't hear myself.
Let's see. I have a little breath screen here, though. Check this out. Tighten this down.
I also can't tell what's my internet versus
here we go.
What's actually sounding like.
Is this a different mic? This is the mic I usually use now, but this is just the windscreen I haven't had on here for a second. This is just like a mesh, but now if I get P's and B's and P, there shouldn't be like pops, and I should be able to. I don't think you can hear me breathing, although this is what it sounds like if I like. I really go hard. That. That's like if I do what's that guy's name? Stinky from what's his name? Hey Arnold, right? That guy doesn't he the guy that's always like wheezing? All right, maybe it was. Well, thanks for calling it out. I put up the windscreen there so I don't keep popping like air into your mouth, into your ears. Either way, I wanted to get that across that, like, yeah, I'm going to do this. Yes, this is stupid high risk. Like, I wouldn't consider this something that's, worth aping into for like investment stuff. This is like a speculation. Like I said, we're jumping the gun a little bit on like the chart activity too. It's just barely starting to like find a bottom and bounce again. But it's also informed by like, like I said, I entered here. This spike was me buying my first liquidity, right? And then I exited like somewhere around here before it did the very top, but I did crazy well. I exited with like my principal and stuff around here-ish. I think actually here at the top, because I remember I pulled my principal and then other people started pulling, and I might have like started this dump. But either way, all of that actually seems the most reasonable for what probably happened, because look how low the volume was on all of that stuff, So like when I pulled my principal back, it makes sense that it did a big dump because it made a big pump here, So either way, I got into this like pretty early. It was really kind of an easy decision to make at the time, but like now we can get into the same thing at around the price I got into it as well, but with like 1,000 times more liquidity depth. So it's interesting. We'll have to see how it cooks from here. The tips from looking at the daily RSI. Yes. So these tips were also, you're talking for this one is the daily SRSI. Yeah. Or the daily peaks. And then, hold on. Oh, I got you. What you mean about like why I'm kind of jumping the gun on this to get the, yeah. Basically like what I'm looking for here is like on the daily, when I was looking at the daily chart, you can see that we've fallen below all of the moving averages, which is pretty devastatingly like quick sell-off, and that we've fallen like generally from a breakout. I want to see like an 80% retrace is about as aggressive as the retrace goes. And you can see the bottom of this is 87%. So now we've kind of recovered to 82. Like we should be basically around still like a decent way above here before we like find support on a general, like generally speaking, on a like breaking out, like blow off crypto like run like that. When you do finally break that momentum and it starts to sell back down, 80% is kind of where it's easy to estimate support is going to be found. And again, because we can find that support now, we're starting to get a little bit of like volume. Like we got a lot more volume than we've had even way before we started this. And the price isn't on the fucking moon. Like the reason we stayed out of this for the last 2 weeks when I was talking about it was this is like, it's an exciting opportunity, but like, man, it's already like, I feel like we've missed this run. Now I don't feel like we've missed the run. Now it feels more like, okay, it's less likely to fall all the way to zero when it's paying 1,700% APR than it is to maybe pump to the 100-day moving average, which is going to be, from where we are currently to the 100-day moving average brings us up 23%. And if we can do that over the course of a week while earning 1,700% APR, this is a fantastic opportunity. Big if, lots of speculation, not confirmed motion. So this is all should be considered much more of a gamble than a liquidity mining strategy. But again, when we look at our liquidity mining strategy wallet on Alcor, these are calculated liquidity mining positions, and we have the vast majority of our assets exposed to those. And so we can afford to do a little bit of this gambling, and let's see how it plays out, because there is that's part of the fun when we come here. Crypto is like, I'm not just here for like let's be perfectly honest, none of us are just here for like mundane, like by the books shit. Like we all have a little bit of an appetite for this kind of stuff, and I feel like we've been ignoring it for quite a while in our wallet, playing it pretty safe. So I'm actually kind of excited to see how this plays out for the next week, especially because it does kind of feel like we have a bit of an opportunity to like enter, and after, like another opportunity to enter this. And again, the runway for it is basically infinity. Like if we're looking for the staked here, 9,900 days from now. So years and years of runway left. We'll see how it plays. But like I said, high risk. Don't this isn't the position for like the majority of our wallet. This is a position for a small portion we still had exposed to something that was also high risk, which is Woofy token, which I also think can come back, has a decent cross-chain utility, much more so than dark matter. But what we're going to plan to do with this position is see how it goes for the week. At the end of the week, be able to take a look, come see our liquidity. How close to 120 wax bilateral are we? Like right now, we're basically at 120 wax bilateral depth. And then once we've confirmed how close we are there, how much have we earned? And then let's take that and, recover principal through the earnings. So let's see, in an ideal world, 1,700%, it'll take us 5 weeks to make all our money back. And in a more ideal world, the price is going to appreciate as that happens, and it'll take even less time. So let's try this out. But that's all I wanted to do today for our DeFi stuff. I'd give a quick recap here. We looked at the crypto markets. We saw, a nice breakout over the last few days, which is now approaching the top kind of like of our last resistance level before we can hit new all-time high price discovery ranges again. So with that in mind, we're expecting the momentum of this breakout pump over the last few weeks to come to an end. Not in the sense that it reverses, but in the sense that it finds some resistance here, and maybe we get a few days of now sideways, potentially like a little bit of a pullback before finding more momentum to fuel the push through this last resistance point. What we're looking for there is a close in the daily charts above $6,800. We're getting close. We've been getting more and more bullish. Stuff's looking great. On the wax side, we moved out of the taco swap Woofy wax pair because the Woofy wax pair liquidity is no longer sustaining us for the full week, and we don't make moves on this wallet when we're not live on air on Wednesdays. And so we don't want to sit for 5 days not earning anything. And with that, plus the remainder of our liquidity position that we've been kind of did an overview of, we felt comfortable, or I felt comfortable enough at least, to ape into something a little bit more aggressive for this week. So we are going into the dark matter pool with the liquidity we pulled from the Woofy wax pool. And we're trying to basically recover that value, that 120-ish wax, with this APR yield before we, do other positions or, do anything else with this liquidity. The idea would be, if things go south, then let's pull that out and try allocate it somewhere else to recover back to 120. We'll talk about what to do next week when we see what actually happened, because right now it's all just, if this, then that kind of. But yeah, with all that in mind, we set those positions. So now we're cooking on the farms on Taco. We're cooking still on the same pools that we've been cooking on for a while over on Alcor. And at the beginning of our stream, we talked about how to revoke permissions from EVM chains. So what it is to sign permissions for tokens. And that was relevant to a DeFi exploit that's ongoing on the Radiant blockchain, or not blockchain, but rather money market, cross-blockchain money market protocol. Specifically, from what I've been able to surmise from sleuthing on the blockchain, the Arbitrum and Binance chain markets are fully drained and have been robbed. And it's likely that if you had exposure to those, your tokens are also currently in limbo at the very least, as in we're not sure what's happening with them, if they will be returned, or if there's any way to recover this. Stay tuned. But it's definitely a good reminder when these exploits occur that it's our responsibility to keep our assets safe. And a big part of that is, understanding that if you're looking at your wallet, or here, if I go to let's go to an older wallet even. Here, if you're looking at your, old wallets, actually, this one's not, here you go. 4 years ago, I have some approvals here on a Uniswap V2 contract. It's a very trusted contract with over $20 billion in people approving to it, but it's I don't know, I haven't interacted with it in a long time. So either way, knowing how to look at what you've done, look at all these things. Years ago, you maybe approved stuff that you're unaware is still having approval on your wallets. So we talked about basically what to look for and how to revoke these transactions or these permissions rather, and why that's a good idea. Also, we talked about how best practice for giving permissions is to only permit the exact values that you're currently transacting with, and then sign permissions on every transaction. At least that way, you're only limited to exposing the amount that you're currently engaged with using, even if there is a lot more of those tokens within your wallet. It's a good practice, and it's not a bad idea to get into the habit of understanding how all that stuff works. Cool. With that in mind, let's or I guess with all that under our belt, let's do another giveaway. Let's do something more fun. This one's going to be for the NFT.
Is my mic super quiet now? I tried to turn it down so people can hear me breathing.
It's a little quieter, but I can hear you.
Turn it up.
We'll have to see if someone in the chat can't hear you though.
I don't know what happened to there. I just turned it up. I don't know what happened to the pop filter that was on this. I don't know if the cats ate it or something, but
oh yeah,
there used to be a foam thing on the end of this.
The cats headset. Are devious. I also noticed that since you're not here, because you're up later than I am, they're definitely more rowdy earlier in the morning. They've been waking me up at 9 instead of 10:30. They're like, hey, It's not even that they want to eat; they just want to like attention.
Yeah, I give them the late night attention. They like hanging out.
Yeah, they miss the late night attention, so then they come to get it early in the morning, and it's just like, ugh. I mean, it's nice. I might have to get into a habit of just keeping more normal hours, which I don't hate that. If the cats are getting me to get up at like a reasonable hour, that's like, it's a good thing. But yeah, let's see. Are we in here? I want to see our tail. Okay, we are. All right, last call. Anyone who still wants to get in on this, this is for the Priscilla, the Comic-Con promo, kick-ass artwork, NFT from her collection. Winner takes it all. Let's see. Mocha says it was usually no biggie. Yeah. Oh, you're talking about assigning permissions and not being a big deal.
No, he's talking about sound.
Oh, okay, good. Okay. I was going to say, because I know that was definitely standard practice for a long time, was just assign unlimited permission to everything. So there's definitely old school like mindset of like, no, it's not a big deal to do that. And in the wake of multiple DeFi hacks that have resulted in exploits vectors that have pulled money out of people's wallets because of outstanding permissions, yeah, don't do it. I still do it, but I shouldn't. Yeah, I'm with you on that. I have multiple different wallets, and there's wallets that I do more active trading from, and they have unlimited permissions because I'm just like, I'm not trying to fucking sign those all the time. It's not great practice, but split your wallets, and then you can have one wallet that has like the bulk of your shit, and you very, very prejudice about how secure you are in your operational security practices with that wallet, and then make another wallet, fund it with an amount of value that you're less strict about, and then you can be a little like more loosey goosey on your permission allocations. But of course, everybody in crypto and in this stuff knows, it's your responsibility to keep track of your own shit. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter who the exploiter or the hacker is. I lost my money. You lost your money because you trusted the thing, you did the thing. It's not anyone else's fault. I mean, the space is full of people who are like here to try to, rob you, and it's all up to you. Being your own bank is not only fun and games. There's a reason why people pay absurd amounts of what's that called? Of like premium to use a bank, as they're like in between them and their business dealings. It's not without its risks. So
I honestly don't think centralized exchanges are a bad idea for most people.
Try not to find that shit out the hard way, like take lessons that other people are learning and paying top dollar for, and apply them to yourself, and that way you don't have to pay tuition.
Especially, I don't know, if you're not doing crazy stuff with crypto, centralized exchanges.
Yeah, exactly.
If it's within your jurisdiction, going on like a sketchy centralized exchange that gets shut down and locks your money is not good. But it's within whatever country you live in or the jurisdiction of your government, even if they like go under, like you might get bailed out.
Yeah, you have recourse. There is, insurance. There is legitimate like legal guidelines in your own jurisdictions that protect you as a client. That just doesn't exist in crypto on chain. So most people, like Lewis said, if you're not doing insane shit, like, I mean, I love doing deep cut, insane DeFi stuff. So I can't do that stuff on a centralized exchange. But if you're not doing, very elaborate like investment strategies, most people I think are best served staying on Coinbase or Gemini or Kraken if they live in the United States, because at that point you can forget your login and then you can just call the customer service and be like, oops, I forgot my password. It's not like, oops, I lost all my money. So depending on like what your operational security practices are and how comfortable you are with stuff, don't let the crypto ethos of not your keys, not your coins push you into self-custody if you're not ready for self-custody. That's a huge responsibility, and you become the first and last point of contact for those assets. So if something goes wrong, it's you and the blockchain. There's nobody to call. Even people who know what they are doing and are helpful and want to help you, they can't fucking help you. There's no way to undo things that have been done. So keep all that in mind. Hopefully my exposure to today's hack is recovered. What my assets are exposed to has not been stolen, but it doesn't change the fact that I'm stressed out about it, and it's a difficult like lesson to have to pay for another time. So you know, like maybe let me pay your tuition with these kind of mistakes, and you know, you implore you to use better operational security practices and be even more discerning when it comes to what sort of things you're willing to expose you know, permissions or crypto risk to. And with that in mind, let's see who wins the NFT here. Let's go. Grubfish Royale. Lots of fish to. Chain is not affected, but Arbitrum and Binance Smart Chain were both drained all the way. And then a lot of that, from what I could see, the hacker was pulling those funds onto Ethereum mainnet as BNB token, like Ethereum mainnet BNB token. And my assumption is that they're looking to tumble it through Tornado Cash, which is usually standard practice for this kind of, you know, black hat exploit. So we'll see. It's devastating. Oh yeah,
another day in the Wild West of crypto.
Yeah, and even the exposure on base chain would be like if you are specifically holding liquidity tokens, like if you're supplying liquidity or you've in the past interacted with the money market protocol and given it permissions, that's the big risk right now. So it's not if you're in other asset pools on like base or the affected blockchains, it's not cause for concern. Those chains have tons of liquidity. They can easily absorb $50 million. Easily.
Wicked says, I really hate those tokens with transaction fees, i.e. Chad. How do you get rid of all of them? Some of them have whitelisted contracts. So like some of them you can swap on Alcor without. Yeah. So you can swap 100% on Alcor, but I don't know specifically what's whitelisted for Chad, but some contracts are whitelisted. So just find a whitelisted contract and send it to that, I guess.
Pretty much.
Trumar. So you're gonna want to click and get his wallet and post it in our Discord so you have it. Let me just put it in the team talk.
Good call. Okay, here we go. Team talk. Let's do enter and then winner.
I think we're gonna wrap up here. And go for a walk before the sun sets. It gets way colder here than it does in Vietnam, so it's already freaking 70 degrees out. If I wait too long, it's gonna be actually cold to go do my walk.
Oh yeah. Oh wow, we hit 2 hours already. Yeah, damn, time flies. I was very putting out fires all morning with this fucking nonsense. Also, OVN had a pretty fucking epic liquidation cascade. I had to like scale down my my leverage. I just kept all the OVN I have. I'm not selling that stuff. I feel like it's
that's where I am too. Yeah, definitely was a bad recommendation. Last week I was like, yeah, I would not invest in shit on Wax. Go invest in OVN. If you took my advice,
yeah, that was.
Wrecked, so hopefully nobody took my advice.
Yeah, and I went on the way down. I put like another 5,000 or something towards OVN at around $18 a token. I think it dropped to like, let's see what's at right now, $12.50. Oof. Again, I'm not selling. It's on the back of a liquidation cascade. So looking at here, let's go. This is the 5-minute chart. So here's kind of what we're looking at. A fall from grace, kind of $50 down to $10 in the course of a few days. This had a lot to do with the leveraged yield farming, and once a certain price target was hit, like around 30 something here, 37, yeah, like right around here, it started liquidating people who were leveraged yield farming. So it basically pulled their liquidity to cover their debts and sold the liquidity into cash, which, you know, reduced the amount of liquidity depth while dumping the token, which cascaded into more price losses, into more liquidations, and yeah, really devastating. So like couple days already this has been unfolding, very like shitty kind of like to try to come up with how to like combat that. Like I said, I've just reduced my leverage exposure. I'm pretty much not leveraged anymore, and I'm just farming those pools on Beefy now. They're still just cooking. I have an assload more OVN on the OVN side, and with what they're gonna do as far as redistribution of the protocol revenue into the future of like bribe markets. So there's an AMA coming out. I won't get into all this shit, but I've been following this kind of closely too. Either way, I'm not convinced that we're gonna fall much lower than $10. and we're already so close to it. I'm just like, I put more into this. I'm just gonna ride this out. I think the APR for some of these is ridiculous at this stage too. I'm like, yeah, 400% is what I'm making on this APR just for the pool without leverage. Like, that's crazy. So, I'm not like running for the hills yet, but I also am aware of, multiple big moves happening in crypto lately that make for an exciting day, I suppose. But yeah, I think we got over a bunch of stuff, and I feel like as usual, staying safe and staying kind of like exposed in a way that isn't like, this isn't my life savings, I don't need this for rent next month, then you're gonna be fine. Like I have a decent amount stuck in this thing. It's like, okay, I'm just gonna wait. There's no reason to panic, no reason to call a lawyer or try to do some nonsense that's not gonna amount to anything. You just gotta wait. You gotta wait, take a breath, take your dog for a walk. It's part of the fucking game. It gets intense out here, yo. Let's see. Oh, that's true too. Rock Metal is saying you could send the tokens to their original contract because those original token contracts should be whitelisted, but it could be that they're not. But yeah. That's
somebody else said you sell whatever the fee is, just sell that minus the fee or whatever.
Mocha Twitch is not a loss until you sell. No, I would consider it like on paper is a big loss, but I'm not like interested in realizing the loss. So I would say it's a big unrealized loss at the moment. And for the most part with my OVN, I also pulled my principal back. So this is a lot easier to let it ride because a lot of it is still like, house money. And then, like I said, I added like 5,000 more on the way down because I believe in this tokens project. I believe in like their revenue stream makes sense to me. I like the team behind it. I like everything they've done, except for this kind of like making decisions without kind of consulting or at least letting the community know of what, like, if it's a government's token, maybe like let's put it to a vote for the token holders to decide what to do about this. But either way, would you still expect those 1,000% overnight spikes? It depends. So like OVN is a token that has like a legitimate like value proposition where you can actually do like math between like, this is the protocol, this is what they engage in, and what they engage in, like the short version is delta neutral liquidity farming, and this is how much money they have, this is how much revenue they make, and therefore this is how much the token could be worth. So because you have an equation like that, I don't think it's quite as likely to do meme coin bullshit, which is just fueled by like hype and craziness. But for that same reason, I'm also not selling on the way down here. Whereas like if this was just a meme coin, I would have been out. Like I wouldn't have bought back in on the way down either. So, it could go up a lot. What I'm really hoping for is for it to like stabilize out like around $30-$40 again, and then just kind of move sideways and pay me interest as it cooks. Like I'll leave it in the liquidity pool and like farm. That would be kind of my best ideal scenario, but we'll have to see how it all plays out. I would have also been less likely to say it's reasonable to expect this amount of price action in a pool that's more than $50-60 million deep. So the fact that we were able to, in the course of like a day, drop 60% of the value from a pool that had tens of millions in it was also not something that was quite as like on my radar. Like I do know how liquidation cascades work, but it was not quite as clear to me how fragile this ecosystem was to that to that price floor right at like 37. It like game ended. So now you also have a lot of people like, a lot of degens are fucking toast. A lot of people are now upset, are just like, in the red, looking for like the moment they get close to break even just to fucking dump and get out and like spike quit all this shit. So it is a longer road to recovery than some of the meme coin pumps that we see, but I don't think it's out of the question to see this come back to like this is 40 where it dropped. If we even come back to like 30-31 or something, with the rates that these are paying, if it takes 2 weeks to get back to 31, I'm back at break even price already, and that's like half of the price that it was when I was holding this. So I'm cool with that. I like this. I have the risk tolerance for it. Is not for everyone. And I don't think everyone should just ape into this stuff. I don't know for sure that the sell-off is over. Of course, today is the voting day If we're looking at OVN votes here, bribes, they're paying 10,000 OVN in bribes. These get paid out in 41 minutes. So are the voters going to dump another 10,000 in less than an hour? Are we about to see a huge sell-off again? Maybe. Don't just ape into this stuff. That's why I cut my liquidity. I'm not going to get liquidated. I'm just holding liquidity. So if we dump more, great. My liquidity pool fills with more OVN. And I'm okay with that because of my like assessment of this project. But I don't, yeah, like I said, there's a lot of moving pieces here, and a lot of this liquidity is people who come here for the farming incentive rewards. And when you see, you know, those incentives starting to wane off, to like drop down a little bit. Let's see if we go to OVN. Right now it's paying 393% APR to a pool that's still $12 million deep. So this is still an ass load of APR. But, you know, like I said, the vote ends in 42 minutes. The amount of votes being submitted here are significantly lower than they were last week to get that 400% APR. So it's still like in the air to see how big of a bribe is this going to be? What is the next week's reward APR going to look like? And how is that going to affect the current like liquidity pool composition? Are more people going to run for the hills if this APR drops from, you know, 390 something down to like 200% or whatever? Like, how high does it have to be to actually create an equilibrium or a floor? And we'll have to find out, because this is quite uncharted territory for this coin. So I guess I'll just leave it at that, because it is yeah, it's Wednesday. We got into a lot of wax stuff. We got into a bunch of market stuff. We reset our stuff, and then I don't want to get too technical and have things go into one ear and out the other. Plus, Lewis,
right.
St. Louis, and
I'm going to raid into Mahala.
Do it.
I do want to hear about. You said there's some sort of cat shenanigans that went down, but let's do that tomorrow for Off the Rails.
Ooh, who said that?
You said that the cats did some shit and it's Paul's fault.
Oh my god, that is very off the rails content.
Yeah, we'll do that tomorrow.
If you want the little note, they peed all over everything and each other, and I had to shower them while Paul cleaned the house with a mop. Wow. I'll tell you how that all went down. It was insane.
That's a teaser for tomorrow. Tomorrow, cat stories, Off the Rails. We'll see you all then. Yeah. Have a good night. Let me do our Discord. If anyone wants to hang out on Discord, ask questions, or wants to hang in between now and then.
Oh, Mocha Twitcher, cheer.
Thank you for the cheer. Our soundboard's off since we're not doing Streamlabs right now, but we appreciate it.
I got your back, dude.
Usually does like a noise too. Yeah. Anyway, thanks for cheering. Thanks for watching. We will see you all tomorrow for Off the Rails. Oh, I got a friggin' sick thing in Counter-Strike too. Maybe I'll show that off tomorrow.
Oh, hell yeah. I want to see that.
I got the highest rarity charm.
Oh, fuck yeah. That's dope.
It currently sells for $70, so if I sell it, it would pay for like
you can buy all
2.5 passes.
Can you
just buy more passes and do more RNG degen shit?
A quick question: when you I see people on like tournaments and stuff, they have like 10 or like many stickers on one gun. Can you put a bunch of charms on one gun?
I haven't tried. I'm not even trying to put this charm on a gun. I'm trying to sell it. But anyway, we can go over that tomorrow or Friday. But later, everybody. Have a good night.
Later.
Peace out.
See you.
And I don't have to re-upload because this one is.
Yeah.